Great. Can you see me now?
Yes.
Okay, great. But I'm going to hide everybody. Okay, this is the brief history of the Cabellion. And I'm going to read it, and so if you stop me, if you don't understand anything, you just stop me. It says, you have magical abilities that are inherent, inborn, and God-given. Since you were made in the image and likeness of the Creator, it makes sense that you have creative abilities and divine power. One of the life's purpose is to learn how to harness your gifts into loving and positive action. The Kybalion is a practical teaching manual for understanding and utilizing your divinely magical abilities. First published in 1908, is a classic esoteric self-help book that has taught countless people, including the author, how to put Hermetic, a term derived from Hermes, the name of the philosophy's originator, principle in action. Because the Cabellion language is now dated and sometimes cryptic, I was guided to edit the manuscript into modern language and did commend some practical application tools. Deeply honored by this assignment, I carefully and prayerfully edited the Cabellion. But I would like to say, for those who don't know, she has denied this thing. Victoria has denied this about, I think, 4 years ago, when she turned into be a modern Christian, I think they call it, this special Christianity, when she married a man. So she has actually called this, I don't know whether she actually called it the work of the devil, but it is, she has denied the whole thing. I am guided, I read this book with somebody who is a devoted Christian, who devotes herself to the Christ energy. And that's why, and I read it myself several times, and I find it very, very useful. But I just want you all to know this, that Victoria has actually denied it. So anyway, in ancient Egypt, a great spiritual teacher wrote books and lectured about the power of the mind to create and heal. His teachings were so profound and revolutionary that he was linked with Hermes, the Greek messenger deity, and Thoth, the Egyptian god of writing and mysticism. So, I don't know how much of this you'll be interested to hear, but the short and the long is this, this Cabellion dates back to about the time of Moses, as it says here. So perhaps because of these controversies, Hermes' teaching has always been shrouded in veils of secrecy and mystery. Hermetic principles were only given to those who had undergone initiation of purification, learning, and skill building. The principles were primarily taught verbally and in secret. Hermetic philosophy was incorporated into mystical Jewish teachings and the Alexandrian branch of Gnosticism. I've never been able to pronounce this word. Hermes' books, which include the Corpus Hermetism and the Divine Philander, has been translated first into Greek and then later into Arabic and Latin. Hermetism and its offshoot, alchemy. This word will be used again and again in this book, Alchemy, were popular topics in the Middle Ages and the Renaissance period, roughly through the years 800 to 1600. Among his fans were Isaac Newton and Carl Jung. During the Middle Ages, Hermetists studied in secret, since it was dangerous to write or verbalize any spiritual principle other than their reigning religion. To do so was to risk being killed as a heretic or a witch. The term hermetically sealed comes from this absolute secrecy surrounding Hermetism. Today, it's not only safe to study and practice Hermetism, it's one of the healthiest ways to live. Most students of metaphysics understand that thought creates reality. Yet, how do you control and focus your thoughts so that manifestations are at the highest and best level? I found the answer to that question within the Cabellion. It taught me a method that keeps my thoughts, therefore my moods, health, relationships, finances, and such at a consistently high level. I'd just like to add, there is a slight difference between the law of attraction as we know it and the Cabellion, because they go into different density, different density levels. So the term Cabellion refers to the verbal teaching and traditions of Hermetic principles, which were thought as axioms or phrases and then explained and expounded upon to initiates by advanced Hermetists. These individuals held the axioms in their memory blanks and taught them to each other verbally. They weren't written in any written form till 1908, when these three Hermetics decided to publish them along with their interpretations. The resulting book, the Cabellion, was authored by anonymous Hermetic teachers who called themselves the Three Initiates, as a guide to the principles they learned through verbal traditions. Such speculation and controversy surrounds the identity of these three authors and the cryptic meaning of the term Cabellion. So, the Cabellion is a wonderful distillation of these ancient teachings, and I believe you'll benefit from its messages. The Cabellion requires some study. Read my comments and summaries first, and then read the writings of the Cabellion that follow. I believe that the best way to understand its teachings is applying the principles to daily life. And this is part of this reading group, is to actually understand the principle and then apply it to your daily life. And then hopefully you'll be able to share what you've actually experienced in your daily life when you practice one principle at a time. So this is the author. And as I said to you, she has actually called this work Against the Church. So this is the introduction. The lips of wise are closed except to the ears of understanding. Old Egypt produced esoteric and occult teachings that have strongly influenced the philosophies of all races, nations, and peoples. Egypt, the home of the pyramids and the Sphinx, was the birthplace of hidden wisdom and mystical teachings. The great apes and masters dwelt in ancient Egypt. Among them was hailed as the Master of Masters. So this is a little bit about Egypt, but I think I'm going to hop all that and go actually to this last verse. It says, when the pupil is ready to receive the truth, then this little book will come to him or her. Such is the law. The Hermetic principle of cause and effect in its aspects of the law of attraction will bring these teachings to whomever is prepared to receive them. So, note, be it. So these are the first, and there are 7 sacred principles. So, does anybody want to take over the reading, or shall I just continue?
Just continue.
Okay. Can you hear me, or can you read it?
I can read some of it. I can hear it also.
Anyway, it will be. I will be posting this thing in YouTube, so you can follow it there too. So the 7 sacred secrets of manifestation. So the Hermes' sacred teachings are divided into 7 interconnected principles in the Cabellion. The principles are normally studied in chronological order as they build upon each other. Some of these principles may sound familiar because spiritual teachers have been studying and writing about them since Hermes introduced them centuries ago. So it may seem as if you are studying basic arithmetic after you have already mastered algebra. Studying these principles builds a solid foundation for your natural spiritual gifts. Although I'm a lifelong student and practitioner of metaphysics, I discovered new wisdom, secrets, and ideas by studying the Cabellion. A deeper understanding of these principles help you to master your inborn manifestation abilities. For instance, you will learn how to maintain your moods, thoughts, and vibrations at high levels. This is basically it. This in turn keeps your relationships, finances, health, and other experiences at the same levels. Decapilan is all about vibrations, a little different from the law of attraction. Here is an overview of the 7 sacred principles that Hermes gave us. The initialized sentences represent the Cabellion's axioms as a synopsis for each principle. The chapters that follow give expanded information on each principle, as well as practical ways to put them into everyday use. And as I said again and again, it's the practical way of using them that is going to be important for us. And the first of the 7 principles is, the first sacred principle is called mentalism. The Cabellion's axiom summarizing this principle is the all is mind, the universe is mental. This principle explains that the entire universe, including yourself and your life, is composed of an all-encompassing divine mind, its thoughts and thought forms. The Cabellion refers to the Creator as the All. The All is the mind. The All is mind, which means infinite and unerring intelligence, wisdom, and creativity. Since the All is everywhere, mind is everywhere. You live inside this omnipresent mind of the All. Your true mind, your higher self, is an extension and the creation of the divine mind. I think this all I think both you and Ada knows this. So I don't you? Anyway, the second sacred principle is called the correspondence. The Cabellion describes this principle with Hermes's famous phrase, as above, so below, as below, so above. The Hermetist divides the world into three planes: physical, mental, and spiritual. Each plane operates by the same spiritual laws. So if you understand the laws governing one plane, you'll understand how the other planes operate. By applying this understanding, you can elevate your consciousness and life to the higher planes of existence. And this is also very important in this Cabellion, that there are different planes of existence, just not one plane, not just the earthly plane. And the third sacred principle is called vibration. The Cabellion says, nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. Everything in the universe moves, even so-called inanimate objects that are filled with vibrating atoms and the energy of all. The difference between the varying planes of existence is merely in their vibrational rate of movement. Hermetist applies this principle by accelerating or decelerating the vibrational rate of objects or situations that they wish to attract, change, or banish. This is the thing that we all need to remember. We talk about accelerating and decelerating the vibrational rate. And when we come to the fourth principle about polarities, they actually tell us how to do it. The fourth sacred principle is this polarity. The Cabellion summarizes it in this way. Everything is dual. Everything has poles. Everything has its pairs of opposites. Like and unlike are the same. Opposites are identical in nature, but different in degree. Extremes meet. All truths are but half-truths. All paradoxes may be reconciled. For me, this is probably the most important principle to remember. The fourth principle explains that every experience and choice is the same in the truth. What appears in the opposite is actually the same, but with different degrees of the same ingredient. Prosperity and poverty are not opposites. They are merely ends of the same pole, vibrating at different rates. Each situation in your life has a pole with extremes at either end and vibrational increments in between. Hermetist uses this principle to transmute unwanted situations and emotions into something more desirable merely by changing their vibrations to the highest ends of the pole. As I said to you before, we'll be coming to it, and this probably for me has been the most important bit of this book. And the fifth sacred principle is called rhythm. These Cabellion axioms explain that this principle is everything flows in and out. Everything has its tides. All things rise and fall. The pendulum swings manifest in everything. The measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left. Rhythm compensates. According to the fifth principle, the universe operates in precise and predictable rhythms. If you allow these rhythms to master you, then your moods and life will fluctuate up and down. However, by mastering the rhythms, you become immune to downturns in emotions or in life experiences. This part of it, Christine, we have been working on it for a long time now. Can you recognize it?
Yeah, some of it.
Yes.
Yes, and a lot of the other principles as well, but I haven't found the
how.
The how, no, yet.
Well, I have been talking with you about the house. That's why I want you to learn more about vibrations.
Yeah.
You know, and we have talked about it before. So guilt, for example, is a very, very low vibration.
Yeah.
So we'll be talking about the poles in the next. Yeah, unless you want to read it further yourself. Anyway, the sixth sacred principle is cause and effect. It says, the Cabellion says, every cause has its effect. Every effect is cause. Everything happens according to law. Chances is but a name for law not recognized. And this is very, very important. There are many planes of causation, but nothing escapes the law. We basically are living on the third dimension. This life is a third dimension. We are on the third plane. But the Cabellion will teach us how to move into the fourth and the fifth plane, where you don't fall into this cause and effect. This part of it, every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. So what we do, at least what the other teacher is trying to tell us, is to move into the next plane so that the effect of something that you have caused doesn't affect you, but because you realize it, so you move into another plane. So it's chance is but a name for law not recognized. There are many planes of causation. This is something that is important here. This is perfectly ordered. This is a perfectly ordered universe, and nothing happens by chance or accident. Like, for example, according to these Cabellion people, what is happening in the COVID-19 is actually an effect of something that collective consciousness has caused. There's always a cause behind the very effect. Life mastery occurs when you become a conscious cause of the effects you desire, instead of being carried along by the wills or the desires of others. You can cause this principle to effect healings and manifestations. And this is the other interesting, the last seventh sacred principle is called gender. The Cabellion summary for this principle is gender is in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. And again, it says, gender manifests in all planes. The seventh principle isn't referring to traditional male-female genders as in human bodies. It instead discusses the masculine and feminine energies. Each person has both energies within them, since the entire universe is composed of both. These energies are equally powerful and interdependent upon each other to form creations. This is also another important sentence. These energies are equally important and interdependent upon each other to form creations. Female energy is magnetic and attracting. Male energy is electric and creating. Banishing, releasing and attracting are the basis of divine magic. That's why I'm so keen about SRT, because we do a lot of releasing and then we attract through the affirmations. To manifest, you must either attract your desire or create it. To enjoy a steady flow of abundance, understand and work with a steady flow of giving and receiving, as this principle teaches. And this is what we're going to end with tonight. The principles of truth are 7. He who knows these understandingly possesses the magic key, before whose touch all the doors of the temples fly open. This is what I hope at the end of this book, that you will be able to touch the doors of all temples and it will fly open. So I think since we are 2 of us, and I have done this so late, it's because of these Americans that said that they were joining, but now I can see they are not joining. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen, and I want to know whether you have any questions or whether you find it interesting. I actually wanted to start, next time we read, I'm going to go to the back of the book. I've started twice from the back of the book, from the axioms, and then go back to the front.
Hi, Lian. I'm Zeta. I'll just say that I like this time. This is a very good time. So
I think it's also a good, I find it's a good time for me too.
So I appreciate this timing because my son is asleep. I have time to focus. I don't have to think about other conflicts so much. So I think this is a very nice time.
That's great. So we'll keep to it. I find it, I like the time, but I don't know what happened to the 2 Americans that were supposed to join us. But this is basically what it is all about. But the point is to try to apply the principles in your daily life. So after reading one chapter, for example, the simple thing about rhythm, for example, how is it affecting you? And what I was talking with somebody yesterday, I think you know her too, Diana, about the menstrual cycle. The menstrual cycle is one of the things that we basically don't know how to work with.
The rhythm.
The rhythm of the menstrual cycle, we don't know how to work with. So, it's more, every time we read something, how to bring it into our life. Like, for example, today, they say everything is mental. So what are your thoughts at the moment? What are your thoughts? And then when your thoughts are not giving you the desires you want, Ada, you know also about this. But the thing about, when I was talking to you, Ada, about about thoughts, I at that time did not know about the Cabellion of how to move the levers. The Cabellion talks about everything in polarities. That means they talk in terms of a pole, a real pole, and the pole has levers. And then you push, you use your feelings to push it up and how to lock it. So, for example, if your thoughts of creating something, like I know, Clockerblums, you want to create something. If you are not able to create it, then you know your thoughts are not quite, the emotions of your thoughts are not quite where it should be. So what we do now is to try to move it up. Even if it is to move it up, for example, anger is much better than feeling shameful. It is better to be angry than to be shameful. It is better to be angry than to be in a feeling of guilt, for example. So even if you cannot move yourself up to these high places in the pole, we will talk about it. It will tell you how to move it. Okay, right now I'm feeling bad, but I am going to move it up. Even if it moves, I'm going to get angry. I'm going to move my vibration. It's all about vibration. In the Cabellion, it's all about vibration.
Yeah. Yeah.
So do you want me to post, because I could post the pages of the book, and then you all can just pick up the next chapter or so, and then
I would like to read it again, because it's difficult to understand, and
yes,
also because of the English, so I have to translate. So I like to read it more than once and twice. And
I have read it about 5 times, I can tell you. And I'm also reading it with another group. So yeah. But what do you say, Ada? You're muted, Ada, so I can't hear you.
Hello.
Yes.
Yes, please share. It was very interesting.
Yes, I will give you the link to the YouTube.
Okay.
So that you can reread, and several others. I'm going to go further a little bit so that you can reread it. Of course, best is to possess your own book, but it's not easy to buy this book at the moment. That's why mine is in the form of a Kindle book.
But is it a problem that she has denied it, or is it just?
It is not. It is a problem for some people. I wish, personally, she hadn't done that, to do the denying. But the Cabellion has existed before she. And this girl that is mentoring me to read this book in Love Leaders, she's a staunch Christian, and it was her. She said that she asked God for guidance, and God has directed her to this book.
I was going to say, I think the author rejection of this is also maybe just her belief in the Christ, power.
Yes, not only in the Christ power, it was, because this has a lot to do with Christ, because they have many people say that actually Jesus Christ was actually part of the Hamitic movement. But she fell in love with a Christian guy from the new church, and it was him, after the marriage to him, that he made her deny it. So but we could read the Cabellion, which is not her book. It's the 5 people, but it's in such difficult English, according to Lilani. We cannot understand it. There's no way we can understand it. That's why she has put it into more normal English.
Which is also difficult for a
Also, it's because of the terms.
Yeah.
But good. So what I'll do is I'll send it into a YouTube link, and I'll try to go a few chapters ahead so that you can follow it from there.
Yeah.
I'm reading a book to my son in Danish about, you know, the Nordic mythology. So I can very much relate to you. I would say I understand about 80% of what I'm reading to my son. And there's still quite a few words where I'm like, I don't really know what they're talking about. Anyway, so.
I tell you, I have read the book about 5 times, and for example, I cannot even pronounce the word Kybalion or axioms. That's still a lot of words, you know. But thank you for being with me tonight. And don't forget, it is the energy of the Cabellion that will move us forward.
Energy.
It's the energy and the vibration of the whole this ability to connect with the all, which they called it the all, but some other people call it the God, you know, and the infinite mind. It's actually very interesting. I can promise you, when you come to certain chapters, you will find it very, very interesting, because you will try to apply it. You know a lot, Christina. You only need, I keep on having to push you to make the decisions.
I know.